Frasier Grinch is definitely a joy. This is the 9th episode of the 3rd season of Frasier. It's directed by Philip Charles MacKenzie, and there will be spoilers from now as I talk about this episode. And it is a very festive episode, particularly in Frasier's apartment, but we'll get to that in a moment. It actually starts off with Cafe Nervosa. Frasier and Niles are there. We establish immediately that it's Christmas, because they say tomorrow is Christmas. Frederick is arriving in 6 hours' time. Niles thinks he and Maris will be together by New Year. Roz comes in, she's just been shopping. Everything is going really well. And then Niles' card is declined. It turns out Maris has cancelled it. So their relationship is very unclear. We then spend some time at KCL. I'll be honest, I don't particularly care for the scenes there. They are very festive. Frasier is on the radio reading a story about a goat herd. The story itself is very dull, but there's a lot of chaos around him, and by the end of it, he is covered in tinsel. He looks fabulous. So I didn't love the bits at KCL, but there's definitely a lot of Christmas there, so I can't complain too much. Unlike Frasier, I do think there is no such thing as too much Christmas. I definitely agree with Martin, because Frasier returns home. There is a reindeer wreath on the door, and Martin says, quite fairly, can't I just have one thing that I want? Frasier puts up a more subtle, understated wreath. He opens the door, and the apartment is Christmas. It is just the definition of, well, commercial Christmas. There are decorations everywhere. There's a giant Santa. It is just absolutely stunning, and I absolutely love it. Eddie is in a little Christmas outfit, and he looks so gorgeous. And everything is, again, going well. Niles comes over, and Daphne is going out with a plum pudding. I wish Daphne was in this more. Daphne isn't in this episode as much as I would have liked, which is a bit of a shame. But it doesn't really affect my enjoyment of the episode. Frasier receives the toys that he's supposed to be giving Freddie. Not the best idea to leave it until Christmas Eve, but nevertheless, that's when the gifts have arrived. And it turns out they are, I guess we can say, stereotypical girls' toys. There was a doll, I think there was a kitchen set, and obviously boys can play with those things, but either way, it's not what Freddie's into. And Frasier and Niles go down to the shopping mall. There are a lot of people there on Christmas Eve. Again, leaving their Christmas shopping until last minute, not very wise. And Frasier is trying to get all of these really educational toys for Frederick. And is it annoying anybody else that I keep switching between Frederick and Freddie? I apologise. I don't know why I'm doing that. He's trying to find these educational toys, and honestly, I would have loved those sciencey toys as a child. I received a microscope and like they're all children's versions of like lab sets and stuff when I was about Freddie's age. Absolutely loved them, but it's not what Freddie wants, but nevertheless it's what Frasier is getting him. And we have this great exchange between a little boy and Frasier in the shop, where this little boy sees this educational present that Frasier is getting, and the boy asks what kind of dork is getting that. And Frasier replies, with any luck, the kind of dork who'll be operating on your prostate one day, which I thought was a brilliant comeback. Maybe not suitable for a young child, but nevertheless, absolutely brilliant. They get the gifts after paying a lot of money, although Niles writes the check, and as we learned at the beginning of the episode, Niles' cards aren't working, so that check is gonna bounce. They get the presents, and then we have some beautiful scenes between Martin and Frasier. I'll get to those in a moment because there are some pretty important lessons. One in particular that I want to talk about that I think is really important. But we also get to see Freddie. Freddie is in it for about 3 minutes. He's played in this episode by Luke Tarsitano. It's the only episode where he plays Freddie. And he says he's getting ready for Santa Claus, and he knows what gift he's going to receive this year. It's going to be an Outlaw Laser Robo Geek. The Outlaw Laser Robo Geek is something that Martin suggested every child would like, and Frasier said no, he needs educational gifts. And then obviously Freddie thinks he's getting one. That's really awkward. Is it going to make him lose faith in Santa Claus? I'd imagine not. I think most children don't get at least one toy they want at some point in their life. But nevertheless, this is what he wants, and it puts a little dampener on things. He goes off to bed. Frasier and Martin have some really nice heart-to-hearts, and Martin says something that I think is really important, and something that I appreciate hearing, because he says, and I quote, "You're always giving people things that you think they would like, instead of things that they really like." And I can sometimes be guilty of that. Not always. I do always try and get somebody a gift that I think they'll like. But sometimes I forget that they might not like the things that I like or things that I think they would like. For example, I might get somebody a book. Even if I think they like the subject matter, they might not actually like reading. This is a tangent slightly, but when I was about, 15, I got my father a Simpsons book because we both love The Simpsons. But he's not a reader. My father doesn't read ever. So that was more of a present if I thought he would like it, but really I wanted him to like it, but it probably wasn't the best gift for him. So I think that this is definitely something that a lot of people can do well to remember, myself included. And it was delivered in a way that was, sensitive. Martin wasn't being nasty about it. Frasier did well to accept the message, and I thought that was really lovely. And then Martin saved the day after the heart-to-heart by giving Frasier an early Christmas present, because he got Frasier the one thing he knew Frasier would want the most in that moment, and he got him the Outlaw Laser Robo Geek. Obviously, that wasn't a gift for Frasier, it was a gift for Freddie, but Martin has given Frasier the gift of giving his son what he most wants, and I thought that was really beautiful. And of course, Martin gave his own son the gift he most wants. So a really lovely way to end things. We actually end things with Martin and Eddie in his little Santa outfit again, and he's just adorable. It's a great episode. Really, really festive. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. Some really lovely messages. And ultimately, Frasier Grinch is an absolute delight.